Hello, everyone. Greetings. Happy times. We are here again on the Wolverine live post-game show here after, folks, I'm happy to say we're on to Atlanta. Michigan beats Texas A&M 91-79, advances from the round of 32 in the Big Ten tournament to next weekend, Sweet 16, and heck, maybe the Elite Eight in Atlanta at State Farm Arena. Anthony Broom here with you. It will be a solo show today, and I'm also running this without a producer, so I appreciate your guys' patience. We'll take your questions. We'll put your comments up on the screen throughout the broadcast. I sat here for a couple minutes after the game went final and, getting stuff ready. You pull up the box scores here, and I'll get that pulled up here in just a moment. With this win, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the game and how we got there. With this victory, I think this team has achieved every bit of its potential. And everything from here, in my opinion, is gravy. As we have the box score up on the screen now. I'm so impressed. I am so impressed by what we saw in the second half of this game in particular. They didn't shoot the ball well. I mean, you go through and you look at this box score. Michigan only shoots 43.1% from the floor, 6 of 22 from three, 3 of 11 from three in the second half. What are we griping about a lot, really throughout this season and in the game the other night, is the free throw shooting. And when push came to shove in this game, and make no mistake about it, for whatever reason, this officiating crew wanted to spend almost this entire game at the free throw line. In the second half of this game, Michigan was 23 of 27. They were 29 of 36 on the day. That's 80.6% from the floor. 91 points. I didn't think that would happen. They put up 56 in the second half. They were down 39-35 at the half. This Texas A&M team, and this is why I said the other night, why I preferred this matchup was they don't shoot the ball well. And I thought, they're an incredibly tough team. I thought they made some tough shots. Taylor made a three-pointer while Michigan was attempting its comeback that was ice cold. It was Steph Curry stuff. But this group, and this is what I don't get first and foremost. You're on social media. You're on the message board. You're on wherever you are watching this game. And Michigan goes down by 10 points in the second half, and you don't want to see that. It certainly felt like they were on the ropes. But I've watched this game. I've watched them play versions of this game all year long. You just get the sense they weren't going to get run off the floor. And they didn't, in my opinion. And obviously, you got to give it up right off the bat for Roddy Gale Jr. 4 of 6 from three. This is a guy who had made 3 triples since the start of the new year. 8 for 8 from the free throw line, 7 of 14 from the floor, 4 rebounds. Just incredibly impressed and needed what he brought to the table. LJ Kaysen, 11 points, 3 of 5 from the floor. Had some good minutes tonight. Vladislav Golden, I don't think started this game very well. I think what we've seen from him, it's this weird pattern where he tends to kind of start games slow, and then he'll get bonked in the head, or he'll fall down and hit the floor, or he'll get shoved in the back. And all of a sudden, he's a man possessed. And you needed every bit of the 23 points, 12 rebounds you got out of him in this game. Now, a couple bad passes. He had three turnovers on the night. Talk about turnovers as this Michigan team's Achilles heel. Only 9 of them in this game against one of the best defensive teams in the country. I don't know how long this ride is going to go. But in order to advance in this tournament, you got to be tough. You got to be well coached. You have to get production from guys you don't expect to get it from. And you need clutch shots as well. I mean, Trey Donaldson again, the layup he made late where it looks, to my eyes, looks like he just kind of like he's throwing a pizza pie up into the air, or he's taking it to a table, or think of the big boy logo where he's got his hand up like this, just kind of throws the ball up towards the rim and it goes in. It looked like a video game glitch to me, but that was a massive basket late. This team is incredibly tough. They are gritty. They're not going to win the style points. They're just not. One of the least prophetic things that Dusty May said about this team in his opening press conference is that we're going to be fun to watch. And for the first month and a half of this year, they absolutely were. It's fun to win more than anything else. That's what's fun to watch, in my opinion. But the way that, we saw it in the Big Ten tournament when they went down. We've seen it throughout the season with all the close games that they've played. They don't give a shit. I'm sorry, language out there. I probably should have put up a disclaimer. Give me one. I just needed one for this show. We have a super chat here from our guy, Shane Johnson from 499. He says, 4 words, Dusty May and go blue. Shane, hope to see you in Atlanta. My flight is booked. I'll be down there Thursday. I can't wait to get down there. And we'll see what happens in this Creighton and Auburn game. Creighton's giving them a hell of a fight at the moment. But I'll pop up the box score here real quick. It's where you need producer Megan. But here we go. I'll just run through some of the numbers on the night. Michigan shoots 43% from the floor, 28 of 65 from the field, 27% from 3, 6 of 22 in that area. We already talked about the free throws, 29 of 36. Guys, there was a combined, math is hard, I got to do some quick math here, 62 foul shots in this game between Michigan and Texas A&M. And I'm sure, Buzz Williams is kind of a maniac. I'm sure he'll talk about the officiating in his post-game press conference, but it is what it is. Texas A&M had 6 more shots than Michigan. They, for a while, hadn't turned the ball over a ton until Michigan turned up the pressure late. This was a phenomenal basketball game. This is the type of game where if you're just sitting on the couch flipping through the channels and you're watching Creighton and Auburn, this is the type of game you want to watch. But when your team is in it, you're losing your mind, especially, the roller coaster of emotions that you go through when team is down 10, they're not playing well. The juice just kind of isn't there. And for them, it seems like it takes a stop and a made shot and it just starts to snowball. And, they've been guilty at times of letting their foot off the gas, not playing the full 40 minutes. But I'll tell you what, you have to play a full 40 minutes against this Michigan basketball team. Some other numbers here. Trey Donaldson, again, sort of quiet, but 8.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover. That's a magic number for him. Of course, the clutch shot late. Namari Burnett, this is something I'll be keeping an eye on the post game to see what was going on with Burnett, but no points, 0 for 2 from the floor, missed his only 3-point attempt, played 12 minutes tonight. I think part of that might be a byproduct of, you got to manage these. All of these NCAA tournament games are win or go home. This isn't, like the NBA where it's I love this from Josh Jackson. He says, Roddy's beer is on me, $4.99. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. Well, we appreciate that, Josh. Roddy he's a legend. He's a hero today. And what you've gotten out of him in these last 2 weeks, Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament, I do wonder if maybe we've been going back and forth with lineup change, no lineup change. At this point, you've got an 8-man rotation. I think you stick with what works. Reuben Jones, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Pretty solid night from him overall. I think you just leave that be. I think that what you do, I like Roddy Gale Jr. kind of coming in. You take that deep breath of not starting the game. You let your team get into the flow of the game. You come in with the second unit and you're bringing energy. You're knocking down shots. And this has been a long time coming. And I'm a firm believer in when you have an extended stretch of games where you're just not, and for Gale, it was 2 months, right? When you have this extended stretch where you're not hitting shots, the only way out of that slump is through it. You got to keep shooting. You got to keep playing. You got to keep your head up. And to his credit, through a lot of that, I thought most nights he's bringing good energy and the looks have been good. He's just not knocking them down. But I'm a firm believer that one, you got to keep shooting, and two, water always finds its level. And I think obviously today it's a season high 26 points for Gale. I'm not sure on career high. I don't have, one of the issues with doing a quick post game is you don't have all the materials available to you. But Roddy Gale is undoubtedly the MVP of this tournament. They don't win Thursday night without him. They don't win this game. I mean, he single-handedly brought them back into this game. I don't know what else there is to say about the guy. I mean, he's a Michigan legend. I'll say that. You get a team. If you're on a team that wins a Big Ten tournament and gets the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, relative to what their expectations were, this is a team that they're going to go down as a historic team in U of M history, especially if it's only up from here under Dusty May, which I think it is. And let's park there for a second, because I don't know that you needed to win today to affirm who he is as a coach, what he's built as a coach to this point. And Darren L says, got to credit Dusty May for player rotation. Yeah, I mean, by necessity, you had to trim this down to 8 guys in this tournament. Justin Pippen's out in protocol. Sam Walters, again, he's dealing with a back thing. And, when you get to the point where you're not even traveling and making the trip, he's a member of this program, but he's not on this team at the moment. So I feel bad for him. I think they need another shooter. I think that their downfall shooting the basketball coincides with what he hasn't been able to bring by being out. But your team's on the floor right now. And again, but back to Dusty May. I don't think he needed this win to affirm what he's done this year at Michigan. I think now what it illustrates, and after he gets the extension, there's people go, they lose that three in a row to end the year, 4 of 6 to end the season, and you got people going, geez, is the ink dry on the extension yet? Geez, are they sure that they want to finalize that? Yes, you wanted to, because you have one of the best coaches in college basketball. Dusty May has now advanced in the NCAA tournament in 2 very, very difficult and unlikely scenarios. And I say unlikely for Michigan because they didn't have a team this time last year. I don't even know if he was the coach yet this time last year. Maybe he had just been hired. But there are 2 guys on this team from last year, 3 if you want to count Jace Howard. But of the guys that play, it's Namari Burnett, it's Will Cheddar, and if you had to rank players in terms of importance to this team, those guys are important, but they're not exactly the engine that makes this thing run. Maybe intangibly, but Dusty May has taken a group of, I won't even say misfits. It's the transfer portal now. You have to build a roster, but I think he's taken an imperfect roster and a vision that hasn't quite lined up. When you don't shoot the ball well, like they haven't, especially from 3, in conference play, that's more who you are. But to fight through the turnovers, the lack of shot making, really, on most nights, the lack of a go-to scorer. He's one of the best coaches in the game, and he's going to be for a while. Because now you're talking about a guy who has been to 2 Sweet 16s as a coach. I know it took Purdue losing to a 16 seed, but I'm not going to qualify that. He's made it to a Final Four, and Vlad Golden was with him. Had some good players on his team with him. Nelly Davis still in the tournament. Elijah Martin is on a 1 seed in Florida, but this is a guy who knows how to put teams together and finds talent too. I haven't even talked about LJ Kaysen yet. He's a guy that was committed, I believe, signed at Florida Atlantic. Michigan finds a way to get him in here with May. And, Dusty's admitted at times that one of the missed opportunities of this season is not getting him more playing time. And the last, really by necessity with Justin Pippen out and, some of the lack of offense you've gotten from other guys, the last couple of weeks, you've had to kind of throw him out there and accelerate his development. And he looks like a guy that could, he could be a guy that is, if not a starter, one of the first guys off the bench next year. Depending, we don't. Again, it's going to be another off season where you got to put a roster together. We'll see what it winds up looking like. But he's a player too. Dusty May, what he's done is remarkable. And at this point, I thought the win. If you want me to boil it down here, I think the win the other night was season affirming. This win was coach affirming. And it's all gravy from here. I know what the stats are. You got to be top 25 on KenPom and offense and defense to win a national title, compete for a national title, whatever it is. They're not there yet. They're still, I believe, in the 40s on offense. I don't think KenPom's been updated yet. It is not. But coming into the Texas A&M game, 12th defensively, I mean, that'll do it. That'll keep you in just about every game you play. 42nd offensively. But then again, putting up 91 points against one of the best defensive teams in the country is going to do a hell of a lot for your profile as well. So hopefully that gets updated in the next couple minutes before we get off of here. But like I said, I think everything from here, everything's gravy from here. You want to win the games. You want to go as far on this ride as you can possibly go. I mean, you're staring at right now the possibility of, if you're fortunate enough to advance in the Sweet 16, you could be playing Michigan State for a right to go to the Final Four. And that would break this state. That would break both fan bases, and it would be awesome. I'm so here for that. And it might be a home game for Michigan because a lot of alums there down in Atlanta. So if they're fortunate enough to get to that spot, we'll see what happens. But man, oh man, you've won a weekend. You've won a weekend now. You've won 2 games, both very obviously. This game is going to show a 12-point win. That was a dogfight from start to finish, and anyone who watched it knows it was a dogfight from start to finish. But that's what it is this time of year. You got to win rock fights. You got to win games where you're filling it up from the floor. You got to win games where you make your free throws. I tweeted this during the game. If you miss your bunnies at the rim, which they missed way too many of them, and you miss your free throws, the more you advance throughout this tournament, the more that's going to hurt you. And to their credit, in the second half, I mean, they checked both of those boxes and made some incredibly tough shots. And I didn't even realize this 9-0 run over the last minute of that game. Now, a lot of that is, finishing things out at the free throw line, but you guys got a program, you got a basketball coach, and more than anything else, you've got a chance. You've got a chance to stay alive. If you can get into that second weekend, that's when anything can happen. And I'm checking the Auburn Creighton score right now. Auburn's up by 3, 43-40. The second half just started here. Winner of that game will play Michigan in the Sweet 16. So Creighton had one of the more impressive wins that I saw in the first round of this tournament. So we'll see if they're able to. And at this point, I'm not even in the zone of who would you rather see, who would you rather play. I'm not there yet. You says showing toughness that Ohio State fans will never understand, and he says understand twice. I'll choose that he did that for emphasis. Yeah, I mean, they don't understand dogs when they see him. I guess Roddy Gale's a dog, and they let that guy walk out the door for whatever reason. And at times he was, he's a lightning rod at Michigan. But right now, I think a lot of people are happy as hell that Roddy Gale Jr. is donning the maize and blue. Let's see here. I got time for a couple questions. We'll take the hypothetical one from Darren L., who says, who do you have, Auburn versus Michigan? Right now, I think I'll stand by what I wrote when I predicted Michigan's outlook in this tournament a couple days ago. I think that that's a game Auburn probably wins. I think it's a tight game. I think it's a contested game. I think it's a game where if it comes down to, if it's tight late and Michigan's got a chance to win, I think they have a hell of a chance to win, because I think Bruce Pearl is a fraud. I mean, I know that there are people whose opinions I respect that feel that way. So I'll say this. I don't know if you have the better roster. I don't know if you have the better team, but if you play Auburn, you're going to go into that game with the better head coach. I have zero issues saying that. So we'll see what happens. I would love to see it. If we're being honest, I think I'd probably rather see Auburn than Creighton. I just think Creighton shoot the ball extremely well. From what I've seen, they're extremely athletic, which is weird to say when you talk about a number one overall seed. But I kind of like that pressure being there for this Michigan team. I don't want them to let off the gas. I think that they've played their best basketball over the last couple of weeks when they've played the best teams that they can possibly play. So it's too early to say that. I mean, I look at Creighton here. I mean, you look at the threes. That was more maybe kind of rain and hell from above in that game in the first round, but very good at twos. The second best 2-point shooting team in the country. So either of those games is a dogfight. You get to the second weekend, it's a dogfight. It's just win in advance. So I don't know who I'd rather see. Like I said, I think that Sweet 16 appearance was the ceiling for this team, and they've gotten there. So as of today, and I'm going to get off here in a couple minutes and watch the end of this Auburn game. I would think that logic would dictate, but there's not a whole lot that's logical about this time of year. So got time for a few more. I'll take this one from Tyler Patterson, and I'll take one more from you as well. Tyler says, we think Dusty just rides the hotter hand between Namari and Kason the rest of the way. It's possible. I think that maybe, and again, he plays 12 minutes tonight. I don't know what went into that. I didn't even check his fouls. What did he finish with foul-wise? Burnett only had one foul, so that feels like coach's decision, hot hand. I mean, all of these are like game 7 of a World Series. If your ace or your starter has left a couple guys on and you might be in trouble early on, you go to your bullpen and you see what else you can find. So if that's the way he wants to play it, I think that you trust his instincts. So and Dusty, I think at this point, it's almost like when the options are narrowed, I think it's a little easier for him. But we'll see. I don't know what Justin Pippen gives his team if he comes back next week. And again, he was in concussion protocol, so we'll see what his deal winds up being if he's able to work his way back in. But if it's these 8 guys that they have been playing, I have no issues with that. Especially now, LJ Kason is experience matters this time of year. And I know at this point we're splitting hairs, but he's got 2 NCAA tournament games under his belt and a Big Ten tournament. And Justin Pippen has none of those things. So I kind of feel like the 8-man lineup that they're rolling with is going to be the way to go. So, gosh, these NCAA bots in the live chat are killing me. We'll take this one from you, and I'll make this last call for anyone else who wants to get questions in there. You says, when it comes down to it, does Michigan make the Elite 8 and Final 4? Who are the teams to watch out for? Well, I just kind of said where I think the ceiling might be. I think they've reached their ceiling. Now, do they bust through it? That's the biggest question. I think they can get to the Elite 8. And if you can get to the Elite 8, you can get to the Final 4. It's just one game at a time. And, I'm under no pretense that they are going to be playing for a national title. I don't think that when you just look at their fastball compared to the fastballs of some of these other teams at the top of the field, I just don't think they match up there because I don't think they have the firepower to. I don't think you're going to play a whole lot of these games where you're shooting 36 free throws. That helps. But yeah, I think 1,000%. I think Elite 8 is in the range of outcomes, and I think Elite 8 against Michigan State is very much in the range of outcomes. So I did a radio hit this morning where someone's like, Michigan and Michigan State are going to be in the Elite 8, aren't they? And I'm like, whoa. Let's get through Texas A&M first, because that team is, listen, they're tough as hell. They're athletic. Something I like about this first 2 games that they played, you had two teams that challenged Michigan in very different ways. You had a team in UC. I already forgot their name. UC San Diego, who, elite at protecting the basketball and elite at forcing turnovers. That's obviously been a weakness. And then this Texas A&M team, I think back to those games that Michigan played against Oklahoma and against Arkansas, who advanced to the Sweet 16 today as well. They really struggled with athleticism and length. And Texas A&M has that in droves. So, this game was incredibly difficult, and they needed everything they got in that second half from Roddy Gale, from LJ Kayson, etc. So, let's see. I like this one from Ramen Power, who says, Michigan beats MSU in the Elite Eight and kisses the March Madness logo. Now, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? That would be something, wouldn't it? Okay, guys, I think that's going to do it for me. For more analysis, I'd love to go back through this game and have more. This is more of a reaction than it is breaking the game down. Again, there's part of me that can't believe they're here. I was in East Lansing 2 weeks ago yesterday, and this team had just looked like they had lost it. It looked like a group that just wasn't going to get it back. I think something I compared it to with a couple buddies of mine was, for your baseball fans here, when the Minnesota Twins collapsed down the stretch this past year, and you just couldn't get past it. Just weren't able to get it back. But to their credit, they have an elite head coach. They're going to hang a banner for an appearance or for a Big Ten tournament win. They're in the Sweet 16, and they might give themselves a chance to hang another banner in terms of winning a game, advancing, winning a game, and maybe could they win this region? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But rad videos. I'll take this last one because I gotta give it to myself a little bit. He says, Broom, are you jealous of your colleagues' good seats? I am incredibly jealous of those guys. They sat courtside for both of these games. It had to be incredible. Hopefully, when I'm in State Farm Arena next Friday night, I can have a seat even as close to as good, but I'd just be happy as hell to be in the building. And was happy to be home and be here with you guys after these first two games this weekend. And we'll work on doing something similar for these games next weekend in Atlanta. I say games. It could be one, could be two. We don't know. But all right, guys, I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for sticking with me here as I ran a solo show. It's a lot harder than it looks. But be sure to click the like button below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot more. Those guys are in the locker room right now getting player audio, video reactions from Michigan's 91-79 win over the number 4 seed Texas A&M Aggies. Michigan's head back to the Sweet 16. 6 straight tournaments that they've made where they've made the second weekend of the tournament. It's almost become an expectation around here. Excited to see where this ride goes from here. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.